Good day, everyone. I am Calinawan, and today I'm going to present to you my persuasive speech entitled Breaking the Silence Why Sex Education Must Be Mandatory in Philippine High Schools. Every hour, 24 Filipino teenagers become mothers. That means over 500 teenage girls give birth every single day here in the Philippines. These are not just statistics. They are real people with real stories and often with real regrets. Most of them didn't plan to become parents so early. Many of them didn't fully understand what was happening to their bodies or how to protect themselves. Some didn't even know how to say no. And what's worse is that many of them didn't learn these things in school because schools never taught them. This topic is important to all of us, whether you're a student, a parent, a teacher, or a future leader. The issue of sex education directly affects our families, communities, and our country. Every young person deserves access to accurate, age-appropriate information that will help them make informed decisions. And yet, many schools in the Philippines still avoid the topic altogether due to fear, stigma, and outdated beliefs. As a student and an advocate of youth health, I've spent time studying the reality of sexual health education in the Philippines and listening to peers share their personal experiences. I'm speaking today not just from research, but from real conversations and real concerns. That's why I believe so strongly that sex education should be a required course in Philippine schools starting in high school. We need to break the cycle of misinformation and silence by empowering our students with knowledge. So in this speech, I'll explain three main points. First, the serious problem of rising teenage pregnancies and STIs. Second, the root cause of this issue, which is the lack of proper sex education. And finally, why making sex education mandatory in schools is the most effective and necessary solution. Let's begin by looking at the problem. Teenage pregnancies in the Philippines have reached crisis levels. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, over 165,000 babies were born to teen mothers in 2022 alone. That's more than any other Southeast Asian country. Even more alarming is that the Department of Health reported a sharp increase in HIV cases among young people, with 15 to 24 years olds accounting for more than 50% of new infections in recent years. Clearly, many Filipino teens are engaging in sexual activity, but they're doing it without the knowledge or tools to protect themselves. They don't know enough about contraception, sexually transmitted infections, or even the basic concept of consent. As a result, they make choices that lead to life-altering consequences. Now, why is this happening? The core issue is that many Filipino students are simply not being taught what they need to know. While the Department of Education introduced the Comprehensive Sexuality Education or CSE framework in 2018, implementation remains weak. A 2023 UNESCO report revealed that around 70% of high school students in the Philippines still lack access to proper, complete sex education. Some schools skip the topic entirely. Others rely on outdated, abstinence-only approaches that don't work. The situation is made worse by the cultural stigma around discussing sex in Filipino families. In many homes, parents avoid the topic, labeling it as bastos or immoral. Because of this, teens often turn to social media, peers, or even pornography to get their information, which is not only inaccurate but also harmful. This silence is not protecting our students. It is endangering them. When we don't talk about sex, we are not keeping the young people innocent. We are keeping them ignorant. Ignorance leads to fear, confusion, and poor decisions. It leaves students vulnerable to unwanted pregnancies, sexual abuse, emotional trauma, and diseases. We cannot keep pretending that avoiding the topic makes the problem disappear. In fact, the silence is part of the problem. Fortunately, there is a clear and proven solution. We must make sex education a required course in all high schools in the Philippines. This means having the standard curriculum that covers essential topics such as human development, reproductive health, contraception, consent, relationship, and gender identity. It must be age appropriate, science-based, and inclusive, while still being respectful of Filipino values. When students are educated early, they are better equipped to make responsible decisions later in life. And this is not just a theory. We've seen it work in other places, in parts of Quezon City, for example. Schools that implemented CSE have seen noticeable reductions in teenage pregnancies and improved students' understanding of reproductive health. Internationally, countries like the Netherlands, where sex education starts in early grades, consistently have some of the lowest teen pregnancy and STI rates in the world. They approach the subject honestly, without shame, and results speak for themselves. In contrast, abstinence-only education has been proven ineffective. Study shows that students who receive comprehensive sex education are more likely to delay sexual activity and use protection when they do become sexually active. So mandatory sex education also promotes gender equality and respect. It teaches boys about consent and boundaries, helping to reduce incidents of harassment and sexual violence. It empowers girls to speak up, protect themselves, and understand their rights. It also creates safe spaces where students can ask questions, get support, and feel seen no matter their background or identity. As I end this speech, I want to return to the number we started with. 24 Filipino teenagers become mothers every hour. That number is not just a statistic. It is a warning. It is a sign that we are failing our youth. It is a sign that we need to act. Making sex education mandatory in all high school is not about encouraging our young people to have sex. It is about giving them the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence to make safe, informed, and respectful decisions. It is about protecting their health, their rights, and their future. So I urge you, whether you're a student, a parent, a teacher, or a policymaker, don't stay silent. Speak up. Demand better. Support the inclusion of real, honest education in our classrooms. Let's ensure that the next generation grows up not in fear and confusion, but in confidence and awareness. Let's break the silence because knowledge should never be a privilege. It should be a right. Thank you.